So how do we read notes on the staff in Treble Clef? Well, that's the topic of this quick lesson. The first thing that you'll need is either staff paper or draw your own staff, which is 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll draw a couple of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you know, the lines are imperfect, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. Or you can just get staff paper if you want. And you'll notice that the staff has 5 lines in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces between those lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can put notes on those lines and in those spaces. But we have these things called clefs. C-L-E-F. And the clef tells us which set of notes we're actually reading. And in today's short lesson, I'm dealing with our treble clef. That's a treble clef. Now let me draw that again slower. You do a straight line down. You go a little bit longer at the bottom. Then you want to do a little curve like that. And then you want to go around the other way like that. And then you want to circle back around the second line like that. And the reason for circling the second line is because this particular clef, the treble clef, also called the G clef sometimes, identifies this second line as a G. So this second line is a G now, a G note. Therefore, this clef is called the G clef or a treble clef. This clef will be used for instruments and voices that play and sing higher pitches, like guitar, violin, flute, clarinet, trumpet, soprano, alto. So instruments that can play medium range and higher notes actually. So how do we read notes on this staff? By the way, if you want a written lesson on this, feel free to visit my newly designed and in construction still website, florentintisce.com, and I have a written lesson on this, and I'll place a link for that at the bottom in the video description. Feel free to check it out. So anyways, we first learned the space notes up in here. And we're going to have 4 space notes because we have 4 spaces. And I'm just going to draw 4 quarter notes in there. Okay? So we have space note, space note, space note, space note. And these have names. This is an F, A, C, E. And so these are the space notes. And it's kind of easy to remember the names of the space notes because when you go from bottom to top, they spell the word face. And also the word face rhymes with space. So it's kind of easy to remember that. So F-A-C-E. And then at the bottom, I'm going to write the line notes. We have 5 of those. 1 on each line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now some of you may be wondering how come the stem, it's called the stem, the little stick, how come sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. A basic rule for that, and that rule is broken sometimes, but the basic general rule is that if the note is below the 3rd line, the stem is going to go up. If the note is above that 3rd line, the stem is going to go down. And if the note is on that 3rd line, like that B right there, the stem could go either way. All right, so that's just the general rule you can follow. And the names here are E, G, B, D, F. You'll notice that we have two E's and two F's in this particular set of notes. And so how do we memorize this? Well, I already told you that this should be very easy. Spells face. E, G, B, D, F. You know, some of you will know that music teachers have suggested the sentence, every good boy does fine. I personally don't do that in my classes. I make the students aware of that sentence, but I don't find it practical for musicians to use that sentence for many reasons. I'll just give you a couple. One reason is that we have different clefs. So when we change to the bass clef, the F clef, and then we get the students all confused because now there's a different set of notes. Also, another reason is when we read these in a song, they happen fast. So you don't have time to really think, you know, every good boy does fine, every good boy does, oh, that's a D, play a D. It doesn't work like that. You just have to know it. And as confusing and annoying as it is in the beginning to just memorize a bunch of letters that make no sense, E, G, B, D, F, it's quite easy to do it if you just repeat it a few times. So my personal suggestion, my personal strategy is I don't use a sentence there. You know, there's different sentences people use. Every good boy does fine. Every girl bakes donuts on Friday. I've heard Elvis's guitar broke down on Friday. Some teachers do that. I've heard some teachers do this sentence, elephants got big dirty feet. That's silly. But I would suggest that you do not use a sentence because you have to know these fast and you just don't have the time to figure out which word in the sentence it is. So anyways, that's our starting point. So these are our lines. So now the point is to get a set of random, let's see. Can you see that? Yeah. A random, here's my treble clef. And then I'm going to draw a bunch of random notes. You can start by practicing just the space notes and then the line notes by themselves and then mix them up. But for time's sake, I'm just going to mix them up right away. I'm going to go line, space, line, space, line, space, let's see, line, space, am I missing anything? Maybe here, line. So I got a few random notes there. So your job now, you know, for practice, is to look at each note and find it here and then write the name at the bottom. And then in doing that for a while, you would end up learning the names of the notes in the treble clef. So obviously if the note is on a line, you would check here. Don't look for this note here. You'll never find it there. It's a line note. So that note's going to be here. And if it's a space note, you're going to have to look for it here. So obviously we have E, C, G, E, B, E, F, F, and D. Okay. So this is a good starting point for learning our notes in treble clef, in our treble clef. And I would just get some staff paper, and if you don't have access to staff paper, just you get a ruler and draw yourself, you know, a few staves, 4 or 5 staves on a piece of paper, and just draw some random notes. Better yet, find a music book, possibly a beginner's music book, where the notes won't get outside of the staff above and below, because notes do get outside of the fret of the staff. We'll talk about ledger lines a little bit later, maybe in a different lesson. But if you get a beginner's music book, let's say a beginner's flute book, violin book, like a level 1 book, then the notes will most likely stay inside the staff. And then just look at different songs and get a pencil and write the letters at the bottom, or just name them out loud. And that would be a great starting point for learning your notes on the staff using a treble clef, or space notes, F, A, C, E, or line notes, E, G, B, D, F. Don't forget to take a look at the written article. It's a blog post on my website with visual examples and explanations, and I'll attach this video to that post as well. If you have any questions or comments, if you have any questions about this, and maybe questions about different ways to do it, feel free to write them at the bottom in the comment section, either here on this video or in the blog post. And thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful for some of you. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day.